Chinese trade in Africa reached some $173 billion in 2014, up 5.5% from 2013, boosting growth rates on the continent and creating much-needed infrastructural improvements. Many African countries view Chinese investment as an opportunity and welcome Beijing's strictly business policy and non-interference in domestic affairs.
China's investment into Africa since the turn of the century has been remarkable, with trade volumes increasing tenfold and China having identified Africa as the future engine of global growth. My name is Brando Kiabilwe and welcome to Doing Business in Botswana.
The relation between China and Botswana is often described as the dragon and the zebra, with China insisting that there are no strings attached. China seems to offer Botswana and the rest of Africa a different approach to the heavily conditioned aid and economic restructuring that Western countries offer. Over the past years, Botswana has experienced an inflow of Chinese business from small shops to mega construction companies. It is a well-known fact that Africa is not the easiest place to do business. So what does China look at before they decide to invest in projects here in Africa?
If we choose some countries to make some investment, first we need to, consider the three factors. The first one is, of course, whether or not the country has a big potential to bring the benefit or interest to our company. The second one is the infrastructure of the country. The third one is human resources. In the whole African continent, it's not very transparent. The second one is efficiency, especially for some of the government jobs. You know, before we came here, I worked in the Southeastern countries in Singapore, Malaysia, and then their efficiency is very fast. But once we move to the African countries, especially for some of the governmental organs, the efficiency is very slow.
In almost every corner of Africa, there is something that interests China. The continent is rich in natural resources that promise to keep China's booming fuel-hungry economy on the road. There is copper to mine in Zambia, iron ore to extract in Gabon, and oil to refine in Angola.
China insists that it is not interested in taking over. But what is going to be China's legacy in Botswana?
Many Chinese companies now have the very high standard products already. Just a few companies, they do not have a, very perfect QA system. Especially such as our company, our TN's company, we have the very strict QA standard to make the very, very strict internal control for our product in China headquarters. At the same time, we are the multinational companies already. So we can make a guarantee that all the products export to Botswana can be, get a 100 guarantee to our customer in Botswana. We have so many customers, especially in Botswana nowadays already. Yes. So I cannot say that, even the Chinese investment get into this country can bring along with some poor quality product. That's not so many, just a few company products. Some of the foreign direct investment come into these countries. They conduct the same industry with the local countries, but so that the competition will be very tough. But in another, point of view, we can see that so many products can be brought into these countries. That means the local people can have so many multiple choice. That means very good. That's a very good phenomenon. Why not? Because nowadays there's the free marketing economy. You need to look the global economy as a whole.
I would like to say that when we talk about Chinese products in Africa, we have to look at this market carefully. I mean, Africa, in fact, when we talk about this continent, there are 53 countries. And when we talk about a specific country like Botswana, you see consumers at different levels. Some go to game, some just go to an ordinary shop, and some just go to the small shops. And people have different level of incomes. For those middle income and the lower income people, they would like to buy a lot of things for their family. They cannot afford to go to games. So when we talk about Chinese products, I would like to say that They are cheap and, well, talk about the quality of the products. They are not as some have imagined. But when we talked about the cost, I would like to say it's very cost effective. And I was told by many people here, originally they may bought one pair of clothes for one child, but he has 5 children, 5 kids. Now with the same money, he can buy the clothes for all of the children, and he is happy, and all the kids are happy. But you cannot spend 1/5 of the money to buy the products the same quality as those you just buy directly. There's no end for the pursuit of a bad quality. And it will be better. I mean, make the products the same price, but the quality better.
Botswana has benefited tremendously from China's goodwill. A number of projects have been funded by China. In addition, ordinary Botswana can now afford certain commodities that in the past were beyond their reach.
For China, 10 or 20 years ago, they never, attract all the foreign investments into these countries. Only in terms of some of the whole aspect, China is not very strong. So Botswana also can learn something from China. You need to protect your local industry. You need to, introduce some of the foreign talents to help you, make a restructuring for some of the different governmental organs to try to, speed up the efficiency of the government. Such as so many very successful examples in the, Asia Pacific country and regions, such as in Hong Kong, such as Singapore. They are very, very high efficiency governments, yes.
China's interest in contributing to infrastructure development in resource-rich economies in Africa is well documented. The pattern has typically involved the Chinese government providing financial support for Chinese state-owned enterprises, building infrastructure as a part of a wider package negotiated with the host governments. And close examination of Botswana highlights the diversity and complexity of the Chinese engagement in this sector.
China has diplomatic relations with more than 48 African countries. I mean, there are a lot of Chinese financed projects in Africa. The Chinese government provides soft loans, interest-free loans, or even just donations of various projects. I think that when you talk about economic cooperation, I think that in China, we would like to divide in 2 parts. One is that pure economic assistance. That is to say, we provide what the African countries need. We don't attach any condition to those contributions.
China has also come under scrutiny from some quarters of the international community over its policy over Africa. And there is growing discomfort over China's business involvement.
Well, I think that the Europe and China have no differences of substance. We all say that we should help Africa develop itself. And we say we should do more to facilitate the self-economic independence of African countries. However, when we talk about the economic cooperation or economic assistance to Africa, Europe and China have some differences. Some European countries, or I may say more accurate, that some Western countries complained or even criticized China's cooperation with African countries. They even call what China is doing here is new colonialism. But if you look at this issue carefully, you will find that those who claimed China of new colonialism are those old colonizers of Africa. They don't like to see Africa have a closer relationship with China. But as I mentioned many times, if Europe don't want to see China do more for Africa, they can do more themselves. And if China and Western countries compete with each other to do more for Africa, that's good for Africa. That's good for the whole world.
One of the success factors for Chinese companies operating in Botswana is their low bidding price. But how are the Chinese firms able to do this, and how does their hands-on management style benefit their bidding success?
We all know that before Chinese construction companies come here, this market was monopolized, and the cost of building was very, very high. Since the Chinese construction companies came here, the cost for construction has been decreased by a lot. Some may just less than half of the cost. So it's a good thing for Botswana. In fact, the 20 Chinese companies here, when they do the bidding for the projects, they always subcontract to the local companies here in Botswana. But also, for those subcontractors, when they work together with Chinese state-owned companies, they learn the management, learn the building techniques, and in fact, they learn from each other, of course. This, I mean, in the long run, and I hope, in not far from now, the local companies can do all the projects themselves. And one day, the Chinese companies will become subcontractors. But it takes some time. But I'm very optimistic. You know, about 30 years ago, or even 20 years ago, 10 years ago, Western multinational companies do the majority of the business in China. The automobile, electronics, almost all the major industries are controlled by Western companies. But the Chinese companies learn from them. They learn, they improve step by step, day after day, year after year. Now you can see not many foreign companies can control China's inner industries. The Chinese can do as good as them, if not better.
There is no doubt that a symbiotic relation between China and Africa can benefit both parties economically, and Botswana is no exception. From me, Brando Kiabilwe, have a good evening, and thank you for watching.